Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to start taking apart the nose of our 2015 X5. Alrighty, that's right. Yep, we're going to take off the nose. We've got a lot of stuff to do here. So without further ado, hit those little buttons below, do your thing, and we'll get right into it. We've got to take off the bumper. Yeah, this whole thing comes off. I wanted to get our new headlight in and just fit that in first, but we're just going to keep pressing forward with the parts we've got, which so far is nothing. So yeah, bumper comes off. We've got our headlight washers to deal with. We've got our fog lights to deal with. Our front camera here, which is missing. We have our park distance sensors, 1, 2, 3, 4. I have the cord for it right here. So I have to fix that. But better to take everything off of here first. There is the hose for the headlight washers that broke. BMW wanted close to $100 for the whole hose assembly. I just need this little fitting right here. So instead of buying a whole new setup, I'm just going to glue that back together and save $100. And some of our other expenses, like the headlight and the bumper, are way more than they were a week ago. Just my luck. So it's not too bad. Very similar to the X3 that we did a couple years ago. We've got a couple of hex bolts up here. I'm going to pull out this headlight, but I don't think there's anything really important I need to do that for right now. We pull out these bolts here. Most of this should just come off. There's a whole belly pan under here, which is also going to have a number of, I think they're 8mm bolts. So I'm going to quick crawl under there, get those out, and then just allow us to take off the top here, and then the whole bumper should pretty much come forward. And the only thing I'm really concerned about not dinging up is these kidney grills, because they are not terribly cheap, and these are actually still intact. So that is very good. We did go head off camera and clean up the engine bay a little bit. It's black and shiny for right now, but you know what? We live on a dirt road. It snows. It's not going to last that way for long. We'll just make the best of it for now, and it'll get dirty, and I'll probably softly cry in my sleep. Alrighty, so as I thought, there are a number of little 8mm under here that go all the way across the front, and we'll allow it to be separated from the belly pan. That also has to come down so that we can get the control arms off for the suspension repair. So as long as I'm here, I may as well do that. What's neat to see is that all the belly pans are there. It's not really disgusting, and there's nothing dripping on the floor. 100,000 mile BMW with nothing leaking? Holy crap, I scored the jackpot with this one. Alrighty, so we got those 8mm bolts off from underneath. Not a big deal, just not easy to get the camera down there. We have coming up next is, what are these, T30s? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 across the top here. And this little piece of plastic trim. And that should be about it to get the bumper itself released. Alrighty, I do have to go ahead and get this headlight out. And I guess the inner fender, because I have to get the couple of bolts out, screws that hold in the fender to the bumper. So we'll go ahead and work on that. And our fender well, and then with some of the little plastic clips. So I'm going to go ahead and take those out and work on getting the couple of bolts out from, or screws from the fender to the bumper. So we should hopefully be able to pull this whole thing off. Be right back. Alrighty, we've gotten all of our bolts out we need to get out, but we have these little plastic nuisances that I've got to get out. There's a little pin in here it's got to come down about 3/4 of an inch, and then these rivets will come out a lot more easily than just trying to pry them out. So I need to try and get a couple of these out before I can get the rest of the front bumper off here. And I don't want to take the wheels off yet. I mean, I have to, but I don't want to yet, if I can avoid it. So let's try and get a couple of these little plastic pins out, and then the bumper should come off. We've got everything else removed, ready to go. We had it all hanging off last night, and those couple of pins were just the sticking point. You can see over here, we don't have that to deal with. So we will, yeah, we don't have that to deal with at all. Just a little bit of a broken fender liner, and that should all come off. Alrighty, hopefully I've got it off now. I'll show you the little pins that are my troublesome thing in just a second here, but hopefully I should be able to lift the bumper off now without any more delays, except for wires. What do I got for wires? Oh, there it is. One more little clip holding on down here for dear life. All right. Well, here we go. Look at this giant mess. Let me set him off to the side. So, Mr. Bumper is off. These were the clips here that were being troublesome for getting the trim off, as well as where are these little button things. I got one I destroyed. Here it is. These guys here, they're kind of like a giant plastic rivet, and they're a pain. But it's off. Also, we can get down here to see if there's anything else damaged on the passenger side. But everything here on the driver's side looks nice and clean. I mean, I wasn't expecting any damage, but just in terms of being clean. See over here on the passenger side now, remember we've got to save all this stuff here. Our headlight washers, our LED bulbs, fog lights, all of our sensors are down here, temperature sensors. And I got to make sure we keep these and keep them in shape because they're going back on and they're not cheap, especially those grills. This lower grill here does have a little damage to it. This guy here and this guy here, they are unobtainium right now, and I'm not going to bother trying to find or fix it. I'm going to put a little glue right here, and then this one here is just going to be extra ventilation, because I'm sure eventually a bird's going to hit it anyways. Here's where our camera goes that, you know, was stolen. I really don't like thieves. I hope you're happy for costing me extra $300 and some. Yeah, I got a couple of fingers for you, buddy, and it's not the first one. So that leaves us over here to the passenger side. I've got to take this bracket off here for the headlight, match it up against the driver's side, and I believe this hopefully comes off. Yep, there should be 3 bolts here and it should come off. I'll get that cleaned up. Still got to look at our DEF tank here. I guess this is a DEF preheater or something that was dripping down here. So I need to see if it was actually a leak and cracked or if a hose came loose and address that. That sounds like lots of fun. I guess replacements are $1,300 for the whole unit. If it's just the canister that's broken, about $250. So I really don't want to spend anything. Depending on the damage, we may be visiting our good friends JB Weld. Everything else up here is in good shape. No damage. The crash bar is intact. Just this little bit of foam here in the end got touched, and I'm not going to bother with that. Like I said, this bracket down here is a little dinged up. We'll try and get that fixed up when we look at that DEF tank. Otherwise, oh look, there's some more foam for me. Perfect. That came off the tank. Otherwise, I know this belly tray has to come off to get our suspension parts fixed up, but that has been delayed. Rather, the delivery of the parts has been delayed. I guess these here have a little bit of a crack in them as well. Don't know if that's from the accident or just life. So we'll go ahead and get those, patched up as well, because there's no way I'm paying the few $100 for this thing. No, not doing that again. Put your money in the repairs where it's going to be most effective. For that, it's going to be the headlights, the body panels, these little trim pieces and valances behind the plastic that nobody's going to see unless they get back in here to fix stuff, and they'll go, somebody's been here before. But you know what? I am not planning to flip this car. I'm planning to keep this for daily for quite a while, and by the time I get rid of it, nobody's going to care because it's going to have 200,000 miles on it. So I'm going to get this bracket taken off for the headlight over here. Headlight should show up tomorrow, so that's a bonus. Maybe the camera too. That'd be really cool to get that stuff back on. I'm going to fix up the sensors. So let's go ahead and do that actually. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll get those sensors fixed up so at least that's a complete unit again. And then we'll go ahead and work on getting off this broken fender. That's going to pretty much take care of the disassembly for the body portion of it. And once we get all of our pieces back in, like the fender, then we can check out our little ding here on the hood and see where we need to tap everything back in place to make it line up. It's really not damaged a ton. There's a little bit of a curl right here. And then you can see it curls in just right here on the seam. So it's really not a bad repair. So I have to do it, but we got the chip paint. So hopefully we can just work on this area here, a little bit of fill or glaze, and then just sand and shoot this area right in here. I'd really prefer not to do the whole hood if I can, because the rest of it is pretty much in spotless condition. There's a few little dings up here, but you know, that happens with 100,000 miles. But yep, you can see the hood here, pretty well straight. And this here's got a little bit of a curve to it. So once we get all of our parts in, I'm going to go ahead and take my contour gauge. Actually, you know what? That looks pretty good. Yeah, maybe a little bit of a bend right in here. But that's why we've got our contour gauge. We'll take that and check it out. But for now, yep, I'm going to work on getting this wiring done here first for these sensors. So let me get that all off the rest of here. We'll find our other wiring and get it soldered up. Alrighty, well, what we've got here is this wonderful little rat's nest of wires. I went through and traced out on some of these other sensors what goes where and figured out everything is pretty much color coded. So what I'm going to do is take this whole little mess with all the 4 sensors on it back over to the car, plug it in, and see what happens. In theory, it should work, and I shouldn't get any more park distance sensors, any more warnings when I turn the vehicle on. If we do, well, I guess we'll just keep tracing down wires. But if we are able to get rid of the errors for this, then I can clean up these wires, throw some solder on them, throw some shrink wrap on them, and I'll probably extend them a few inches because I'm sure, you know, there's a chunk here that came out about 6 inches long. Not sure where it came from, but I'm sure somebody somewhere is missing that 6 inches. So we'll try and get it back in there, and hopefully that'll knock off this electrical gremlin, and we can move on to something else, I guess. All right, so there's my little nest of wires, my sensors. Remember, this here is for the camera, so I'm not worried about those right now. We're plugged back into the car. Let's step inside and see what happens. I know we've got lighting issues. I know the tires are low, one of them's missing. Headlights are missing, we know that. Driver restraint, yep, I know about that. Door is open. Yep, washer fluid's low, I know that. Hood's open, I know that. So if I go throw it in reverse, what happens? Hey, look at that. All of my sensors up front work now. Perfect. All right, back in the park we go. That is sweet. All right, that makes me happy. Getting something done the first time around when you really don't have a diagram or schematic other than the colors of the wires. You know, I guess that's pretty good. I'm going to call that a win. All right, we got that to work, so that's pretty fantastic. I'm going to go ahead right now, set it up to get all the wiring trued up, bundled up, and soldered and cleaned up. I'm going to add about 5-6 inches to this harness because I know some of it got shaved off or sheared off, and I don't want to get everything put together, put back in the car, only to run out of room and have to cut it apart then once I've already done all the work. So I figure right now, as long as everything is just wire tied together or twisted together, I'll go ahead, solder it up, extend it out a few inches because, well, if it's a little long, that's not going to hurt anything. So let's just get to it. Alrighty, well there we go. It's not as pretty as factory, but you know what? It's a lot cheaper than going and getting a new harness. Everything here is soldered together, shrunk wrapped, and then this whole thing is going to be encased in electrical tape. Once we actually get it back in place, probably tape up this little pigtail here just so the sensor is good to go. And next we're going to go and I think let's take off what's left of this fender. Alrighty, we're going to look at getting this fender off, and it just looks to be a bunch of, what are these here? T27 heads. We've got a few of these little plastic nuts to pull off, some little plastic shrouding and trim, which is, who knows what's hiding back there. Oh, it's just a wire do. Oh, I don't know. It's connected, so that's okay. So we're going to get this off, and then inside the door here we've got our We've got our nuts in here, or bolts. One, I think there's 2, 3, 4 in here, so I'll have to creatively get these out without digging up my door. So let's work on that. Well, I can already tell those are going to be super fun to put back on. Let's see if we can get these little rivet nuts off rivets here top and see what's behind this door. Real close, if not there. Let's see. Looks like there's something else hiding down here, which doesn't surprise me. Maybe not. Oh. Yep. More of those things. Looks like I've got to pull this back a little bit to get the last bit of the fender out. Or I've got another bolt hiding or screw hiding somewhere, so I'll look at that. But for now, we've got the majority of this out here. We've got our Coolant Reservoir, which looks to be in good shape except for that broken hose up there we're fixing. Our drains, these are our drains from the sunroof, so we want to make sure that's clear. That looks good. It's going to be a lot of causes for leaks on a lot of cars. Let's see. Yeah, we'll get the leaves cleaned out from down here. This is our kind of our air duct from the brakes. That looks to be intact. Again, our fender liner is not so much intact, so probably look at getting one of those. It's not bad, except this piece up here is missing. That's a good 8-inch chunk, so we'll take a look, see how things fit, but this likely is going to get replaced, at least the front half. I'm not so much concerned with the back half of the wheel liner, because inevitably you're going to hit something on the road, a critter, whatever, and it's going to break. But this front part, again, it's not bad except this area right here. So we'll see, but likely I'll end up swapping that out for one that is in more completeness. And that's going to be that. So yeah, it's going to leave us with getting this headlight bracket off and seeing what's up with our def tank, but I will work on those off camera. We have our new little hood piece coming here, this little corner support. And as I said, I'm just gonna weld or JB weld this hose up here because I don't see spending $100 for this tiny little fix here. And once it's got some glue on there, it's not going anywhere. And once it's back in the vehicle, it's really not gonna get jostled around at all because everything is pretty much tucked back and tied in, snapped in along the bumper and behind the light fixture. So not really worried about that in the least bit. Somebody gonna comment and say, oh, you did it like a cheap way. Probably, but you know what? It's $100 that I can appropriate somewhere else for something else that really needs it, like the wheel liner, or the headlight, or the camera. I'm repeating myself now. Anyways, we're gonna run for now. Come back, I'm gonna disassemble the rest of the stuff on the bumper off camera. Really is gonna be time consuming because we have all of these little plastic clips that have to get removed or released for 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got the headlight washer assemblies that come out, the fog lamp assemblies that come out. There's a bunch of other plasticking and trim behind here that needs to be dealt with. So I still need to get the new bumper and figure out what is staying and what is going. So I've got a bumper in my cart on Amazon, and they won't ship it. They don't have a carrier to deliver an item that they sell to my address. Doesn't matter if it's commercial or residential. They don't have a carrier to deliver something they're selling on their website. So I have definitely escalated this to their shipping department to figure out what we can do to resolve this, or they can't even tell me where it is right now because I was just talking to the support folks. So maybe I'll talk to the shipping folks and I can figure out where it is and I can get it from where it's at now to somebody I know in that area and then get it over here somehow. Or maybe I can say, hey, I'll pay for shipping, just get it to my doorstep. It sure beats paying $900 and some for one elsewhere. So that's going to do it for now. We'll come back in our next episode. Hopefully I'll be working on the suspension and get that done. I've got those parts are in the mail. I've got one of them here right now somewhere. One of the rear control arm. So I've got the bracket for the strut, front control arm. I've got my U-joint boot to put on. So that's going to be fun. And my new rim came today, so we've got that. We're waiting on tires. My local tire place, the Goodyears I was going to get are now back ordered. So I went with TireRack.com, picked up some Pirellis, a little better tread wear pattern, run flats. Otherwise, they're the same spec as the Goodyears were, all season run flat performance tires. And those will get dropped off on my door here from multiple shipping locations in a few days. And hopefully just take them down to my local shop down here in town and have them put them on the 3 existing rims and the 1 brand new rim. Let's take a look at that real quick. There we go. This thing looks much better than that one. Yeah, much better. And what's nice is the existing rims don't have a lot of road rash on them. In fact, really none or damage to speak of. So when everything gets said and done and cleaned up, I think we're going to have a really nicely matched looking set of 4 wheels on this car. So that being said, we're going to get out of here for now. We'll come back next time. Do your thing, hit the video, hit the share, hit the subscribe, yeah, blah, 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 do your thing. And thanks for watching. Again, if you've got any comments on anything here, especially anything related to the diesel stuff, the DEF stuff, let me know. That's new for me in terms of sedans. All I've got that's diesel here is, of course, Bob the Bobcat and the F350 dually. So it seems to be a little more refined than the pickup. Anyways, see you all in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.